Now this is my Volkswagen Jetta. This is a 2002 TDI model. I have it appropriately adorned with anti-Prius stickers. And I've owned this car for a while. I bought it to ferry my son to and from soccer. It's about a 150-mile trip that we do 3 to 5 days a week. So put a lot of miles on this car. And unfortunately it's an automatic. And the automatic recently started going out in it. So this is the start of a automatic to manual transmission swap. I'm going to go ahead and hop in the car and take it for a drive, and I'll show you what's going on with it. So this car actually still runs and drives just fine. A couple of months ago it started slipping in fourth gear under heavy throttle, and now it's the point to where fourth gear's it's usable on flat ground, but if you go up any kind of hill it starts slipping real bad. And hooking up the computer to it, it throws a torque converter mechanical failure code. So these automatics are known for going bad. So it's just time to swap it out for a manual. This is actually going to be the last driving this car ever does with this transmission in it. Actually, in the lower gears, the transmission works just fine. I noticed that the 3 to 4 shift was getting pretty soft in it for several weeks before it really started to slip. And right there was that 3 to 4 shift, and it definitely took a second before the RPMs dropped down. So now you'll notice I'm on flat ground. I'm doing about 60 miles an hour. If I go ahead and just give it a little bit of throttle, watch our tachometer over there. And you notice that big slip without a corresponding increase in RPM. That wasn't a downshift. That was the torque converter or the transmission slipping. So as soon as it started doing this, I went ahead and put it up on my lift and dropped the transmission pan, and it was just full of clutch material. It was opaque black colored. So it was a good indicator. This transmission's on its last legs. So I went through a couple possible scenarios for how to fix this, and I thought about selling the car as is, notifying the buyer that the transmission was weak, or buying a donor vehicle for the transmission swap. I actually tried to do that for about a month and just finally gave up. The slipping was getting so bad I knew I needed to act now. So I ended up ordering a transmission swap kit from Frans at Dutch Auto Parts in the Netherlands. That sounds kind of funny, but it was the best solution. He ships a lot of those kits over here to the United States, and it was definitely the easiest solution for me. So I got a pile of parts sitting in my shop, and I'm going to go ahead and put this car up on the lift tonight, and we'll get started on it. So these are the parts that the FedEx guy dropped off. Got the actual transmission assembly right there, and then this box of parts right here. That should be a starter motor and axle shafts and dust shield and motor mounts or transmission mounts, stuff like that in there. And I haven't opened any of this up yet, so we'll go ahead and strip the packaging off and see what we got. I've done a little bit of cleaning under the hood of the car. Maintained this car pretty well, so there wasn't a lot of grease or grime or buildup or anything, but it actually does have a leak on the rear main, so tend to get a little bit of engine oil buildup down around the transmission and stuff. So went ahead and cleaned all that up. And here is the transmission as it came from Dutch Auto Parts. Went ahead and pulled the shrink wrap off, and looks like it's been in a bit of a salty climate. It's kind of got some corrosion and grime and stuff on it. Pretty typical wrecking yard part, so no problem there. Just go ahead and hit it with some degreaser and pressure washer, and we'll we'll clean it up and get it ready to go in the car. And right here I have all the parts that I ordered from my local parts house and from Bora Parts. So I've got some bolt kits right here for the clutch and the bell housing. I've got a few liters of Volkswagen synthetic gear oil. I got a throwout bearing here. I've got our clutch. I've got our pressure plate and our friction plate. I've got a new flywheel right there. This is a single mass flywheel, 21 pound. I have the transmission input shaft seal here. Figured while I got the transmission out I may as well replace that. And then I've also got a rear main seal here. And the car has a little bit of a rear main oil seal leak, so we'll just go ahead and replace that while we get the transmission out. And then here's all the additional parts that Dutch Auto Parts sent. Just basically I have a starter here. I got some miscellaneous bolts and brackets and bits and pieces of hardware and stuff right there. Right here I got some electrical components, clutch, safety switch, things like that. The actual clutch hydraulic line. We got our dust tin right here for the bell housing. We've got driver and passenger side axle shafts here. He included a new CV joint boot kit. When I looked them over real quick, I didn't see a bad boot, so maybe that's just something that they provide. Got a new brake pedal here, narrow brake pedal, one for the automatics, wider than this. Got a mount right there. Got our gear shift, and the boot on this is pretty worn, but he included a new boot kit too, so that was nice. We got our clutch pedal assembly right here. It's got our clutch master cylinder on it, the necessary bracketry and stuff. So should be all it takes. We've got pretty much everything disconnected now underneath the car, and on top all the cables are disconnected, axles are out from under there. The only thing holding this transmission up in the car is this ratchet strap right here and a few bell housing bolts. I've got about 4 bell housing bolts left to pull. So we'll go ahead and put the transmission jack under there to pick up the weight, remove the rest of those bell housing bolts, and get the tranny out of there. As you can see, I got the transmission installed, and now I got a bunch of stuff to hook up. So it's just loosely bolted into place right now, both on the mounts and the bell housing. I've got to add the rest of the bell housing bolts, install the starter. A problem that I ran into though, on this shift cable right here, this plastic piece right here was broken, and I don't have another one. It looks like it probably got hit in shipment. So what I did is I went ahead and drilled a bolt hole all the way through this here. So we got this M6 bolt, and I'll be able to bolt that on there and that should work just fine until I'm able to actually order a replacement. So let's get back to work. I think I'm pretty much done with the reassembly, at least under the hood here. I finished bleeding the clutch, put the airbox back in and the battery, and I just threw the battery charger on because the battery was low when I pulled it out. I did put engine oil back in the engine. I actually haven't put oil in the transmission just yet. I kind of wanted to try and fire it up first and just make sure everything's going to work. I went ahead and removed the transmission control module from beneath the cowl. And unexpected problem I ran into is this pile of crap right there. It was a very poorly installed remote start and alarm system that was in there. And man, there was just wires everywhere. Originally I was going to leave it, but there's so much stuff in the way of where I needed to put the clutch. It was just, I just had to get it out of there. And one of my concerns is it was spliced into the factory harness all over the place, probably 20 different splices. Inside the steering column, up behind the dash, inside the kick panel, inside the driver's side door, everywhere else. So I'm a little concerned that the car might not start. I was pretty meticulous about taking it out and replacing spliced wires, but you never really know. So I also haven't put the new brake pedal in just yet. But I did put the clutch safety switch and everything else in, so I haven't tried to start it yet. We'll go ahead and try and fire it off and just shift a couple gears, and won't let it run for too long because, like I said, I don't have gear oil in the transmission yet. So here goes. Sure, I'd be troubleshooting some no start problems. And now it's time to throw some oil in the gearbox and button up the interior, and I can set it down and take it for a test spin out on the road.